Hey everyone, you're listening to the Purple Chair Podcast. I'm your scissor wizard, color alchemist, and lover of all things purple. My name is Lara Labuda, and today I'm in the hot seat, and I'm here with Whitney.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good.
And I actually mean that. This time I'm good.
She meant it this time. She's not kidding with us. Are you so excited for today?
Yes.
Are you so excited to tell me everything about you there is to know?
All the things.
All the things.
Even the things you didn't know.
Yeah, so today we're talking all about Laura. I'm sure that you guys have questions about Laura because I have questions about Laura. You feel good? You feel ready? All right, let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
The very, very beginning. Where were you born?
Oh, okay. So I am from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a little town right outside of Pittsburgh. I was actually born in Jeanette. Fun fact, the hospital that I was born in no longer exists. It went out of it became a zombie hospital.
Nice.
Yeah.
A zombie hospital.
Yeah. So if you didn't know, Pittsburgh is the zombie capital of the world.
I didn't know.
George Romero has Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead. Mm-hmm. They're all Pittsburgh references. Mm-hmm. And I actually got a zombie tattoo in the mall where they filmed Dawn of the Dead, and then the place where I was born turned into this it's like everybody just left one day, and I mean, obviously after I was born, but
so it's not an actual zombie.
No, and now
hospital.
It's gone.
Yeah, it's just
they just left one day and left papers and things, and it was
So don't lose your birth certificate is what I'm hearing, because there's nobody to call.
What a way to start about where I'm from.
So what was it like growing up in Pittsburgh?
So I moved to South Carolina when I was in the 6th grade, I think.
Okay.
Time is a little bit blurry. So my mom and my dad are not together anymore, and haven't been since I was 5 or 6, 7 years old, somewhere in there. And so I did a lot of traveling back and forth between Pittsburgh and South Carolina.
Been there, done that.
I mean, blended family.
Right.
Yeah. So it's very cold up there. Mm-hmm. It snows. Lots of snow.
Do you have any siblings?
Yes.
Yes. How many?
Okay, so I have 2 sisters and a brother.
Okay.
And multiple more siblings who are just my English family, who I just consider family.
I love that.
But, okay, are you ready for this?
I
have a brother and a sister.
Okay.
Who are the same age.
Okay.
And are not related to each other. At all?
One from one and one from the other. Mm-hmm. That's pretty wild.
So my mom and my stepmom were pregnant at the same time.
That's crazy.
And so my brother, my only brother, and the oldest of my sisters are 5 months apart.
That's wild.
So I was an only child until I was 15 years. I made it 15 years and 2 days. And then my brother was born, and then I had a sister.
That's honestly rude of them to both be born within the same 6 months of each other.
It made high school interesting. No, I love them. That's great. And then my younger sister, she's, so they're both 23, 3. Mm-hmm. And my youngest sister is in college, 2nd year in college.
That's so exciting.
I'm
fun.
old enough to be her mama.
No, you're not.
Fun fact.
I mean, I guess technically you are, but
yeah.
So when did you fix it?
You can't sit in front of a hairdresser with a cream.
Okay. This is me. Are we good? Can we go?
Yeah.
When did you discover your woo, would you say?
Oh. So I was in high school. So by woo, what do you...
Your witchy intuition, I guess, for lack of a better word. When did you realize you had a little something that not a lot of people have?
So I feel like my whole life, but it wasn't a...
like a conscious
thing. Yeah. But I wasn't really into the whole witchy woo woo until what is the book? To Ride a Silver Broomstick with Silver Raven Wizard. Is that it?
Something like that. I have read that book. I know exactly what book you're talking about.
Every teenage 90s witch was the Craft and Silver Raven Wolf.
Yes.
But I get weird because I'm I don't want to put it out there, but I mean, I thought for a long time that I could hide my woo self. Mm-hmm. but it's like it's literally right on the surface. I cannot hide it. No. So when I was working at the big salon with my mom, so I used to work with my mom when I first started doing hair. I would put, now you guys know, here's the secret.
Now we're all in.
Okay. I would create a crystal grid underneath my chair because the bottom of the chair would come up. And so I would put like intention crystals underneath there. And I would always come into the shop and I would find people sitting in my chair. And I'm like, oh my God, like get out of my chair. Like I got to work, right? So I was like, okay, there's something to this, right? And so when I decided to open the purple chair, I was like in the back of a tattoo shop and he's got tarot cards and Ouija boards hung up all over the place. And there was a window that you could see across. And I, like, again, you didn't have to come to the tattoo shop, so you didn't have to acknowledge the fact that there was, like, some of this happening. And I thought again, like, I'm like, yeah, no, it's just under the surface. Like, I would put a little crystal here or do a little thing here. And it's
very low-key about it.
Yeah, and now I'm in the back of Belladonna's, and you have to walk through the front. So
yeah,
there was one point at which my my grandmother came to get her haircut, and she's been on the other side now for about 5 or 6 years, and she was sitting there talking to me, looking through the window, and she goes, "Don't ever do that." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She said, and I'm like, "What?" The tarot cards and the Ouija board, and it's not a thing that I like. I'm not really huge into the Ouija board.
Right.
But, she said, I can do that. And I said, so can I. So, yeah. So I think it's one of those, like, understood things that, like, I grew up in
kind
a
of in
very magical life.
That's really cool.
To angels and...
That's really awesome.
But I was talking to my mom on the way here, speaking of eclectic woo-woo Laura. My favorite outfit as a child was hot pink leggings. This is not going to surprise any of you guys. Hot pink leggings, maroon dress, and a orange vest.
I love it.
And I would put my hair into like 6 ponytails.
Oh my
if
gosh.
I can find a picture of it.
Please.
Because I have a picture of like all these like...
I would love to see
to
it.
surprise you.
I'll like throw it up on the screen. Well, everyone can see it.
So like today I'm wearing this is a scarf. I just cut holes in it. I'm like, I just want to wear fabric.
Yeah, I love it. So let's back up a little bit.
Okay, sorry.
Just a little bit. So where did you go to college?
So I went to the University of South Carolina, and
Go Cox, baby.
Yeah. I have a story about how I picked the school that I went to. I probably shouldn't talk about it, but here we are, so it's going.
We can cut it out.
Okay. So I did not give a shit about going to school. I just felt like it was like a thing that I had to do. Right?
I get that.
And I graduated high school in Irmo, Dutch work. And so let me hang on, formulating the story. So I had a friend. No, back up.
Okay.
I didn't know about
you didn't have
schools.
A single friend.
I didn't have I had lots of friends. Okay, hold on. Back up. Where did I go to college? I went to the University of South Carolina. But I got into Clemson.
Okay.
And I didn't really care about where I went to school. I just knew that I wanted to go to college because I thought that was like the thing that you had to do.
That's right.
Turns out like you don't have to do that. Yeah.
But.
And I if anyone's listening to this here in South Carolina, right, you will understand this. So I had a friend who was like, you got into both Clemson, Carolina, Gamecocks, and Tigers. And he goes, well, how do you want to decide what school you're going to? Would you rather be a cock or a pussy? And I was like, okay. So I went to Carolina.
Honestly,
I don't know.
I love that for you. Go Cox, baby.
Yeah.
So
I don't tell that story often.
So what did you go to school for, Laura?
So I went with the intention of doing art, but like, what the hell do you do with an art degree? I mean,
Not much.
there's a lot of things that you can do. Like, I'm going to try to keep it positive, right? There's a lot of things that you can do, but I had no idea what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm an artist. Like, I can paint, I can draw. Like, let me just keep going with this. So I was majoring in art studio, but then I was like, what am I going to do for a job? So I was like, I'll be an art teacher.
Sounds great.
So
great idea.
I actually have a BFA in art education. Yep. And it took me, it was a 5-year degree, and I did it in like 4.5.
Hell yeah, Laura.
Extra classes and art classes. So you have to take all the art classes, all the education classes, and all the...
And now she's a Bachelor of Fine Arts.
And a master's in teaching and learning from where did I graduate from? Yeah, Point Loma Nazarene University in San Diego.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
and then I joke and say, after I went to hair school, I now have a PhD because I'm a professional hairdresser.
Look at you.
I went to school long enough. Yeah.
So how did you end up in San Diego?
Yes. I got married.
Yeah.
Not to my husband now. And I moved to California. So I met my first husband he went to the Citadel, and I got married at the Citadel. I am not the Laura from those days anymore. I was blonde with no tattoos. You would not recognize me.
Blonde?
I look like a Barbie doll in a wedding dress. It's weird.
Yeah, I can't visualize that at all. At all.
Have you ever seen the picture?
I don't think so.
I'll have to pull it up.
Yeah. So you were in California?
Yeah. So he got a job in California, in San Diego, and that's what took me out there. Mm-hmm. And
you taught out there, right?
Yep. So I had my first teaching job in California. I never taught anywhere other than in San Diego. I taught I actually had an interview at a school. I set it up before I went out there. Arroyo Paseo Charter High School. It no longer exists. It was like teaching in the trenches, and it was good. It was really good. It was hard, and I did a lot of really good things while I was there. It was nice. That was a good experience. Anyway, I taught high school. It's a non-traditional high school. Like, it was actually in the back of like a garage and like this. What is that called?
Like a warehouse?
No. So on the front side was a gas station.
Okay.
And then on the back side was like a garage that they just kind of turned into a school. Because like back then you could start a school,
right?
Charter school
anywhere,
wherever in California if you had the money. And it was a technology based, and they couldn't have their charter unless they had an art teacher on staff. So when I went, they were like, "We can't pay you," and I was like, "I'll just show up." So I started showing up to teach. That's how.
You're a much better person than I. Continue. You just started showing up.
Basically, I was like, I'll come. Like, I don't have a job. I just moved here. Like, I know you need a teacher on staff. So, like, I'll just come and help out and volunteer whenever I can. So, like, I'll give you my schedule, and then I'll teach.
We'll work it.
Yeah. So, like, it's very non-traditional. Anyway, I worked there for 3 years. It was a lot. And then I went, it was emotional because like you get really invested in the students, and my student population was either Mexican or Somalian. Like, I didn't have any American students. Mm-hmm. So language barriers, cultural barriers.
Lots of, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was, I loved it though. I learned so much about myself. Anyway, I wound up getting another job teaching drawing private art lessons for 4 to 6 year olds, and I worked at SeaWorld.
Oh yeah. Please tell me about SeaWorld, please.
I worked at SeaWorld, and then I got a job at Solana Beach Elementary School, and I worked there for a year before I was like, "Fuck it, I'm out."
So how did we get there? Once you reached "fuck it, I'm out," how did we get here to where we are from there?
Okay. Strap in, because I was in Africa when I decided I was done.
Okay. How did we get to Africa?
My life doesn't go in linear. It goes in spirals. So I was in Africa teaching art.
Okay.
And I realized then and there that you have to choose to be happy, and you can be happy with little. Mm-hmm. And the more choices, the more overwhelmed that I get. And when I saw, when people say there's starving children in Africa, I was like, I've seen them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I taught art on a tarp with a couple of pieces of paper, and we did some drawings, and we had a good time, and I just love those kids. And I realized that this is not what I wanted my life to look like. It needed to change. And that was a whole spiritual awakening thing too. And I came back, and on the airplane, I was like, I need to make a change. And so we drew up the papers for divorce, and I left. I flew my English brother out there, and we drove back to South Carolina. And then I was like, I'm 24 years old. I can do what I want. So I went to Pittsburgh because I'm like, this is home.
Might as well.
Yeah. So I got a job at Eaton Park. It's the place for smiles.
Nice.
It's a diner where they make cookies.
Okay.
And I was making cookies
with your little stamp.
Yeah, so it's
I can visualize it.
So in that moment, I was like, I need to be doing something more with my life than working in a diner making cookies and cakes and like. No, I wasn't making. I was a server, and I love people, right? And so I was like, I'm gonna be a hairdresser because if my mom can do it, I can do it.
I was about to say,
yeah, and I know she listens, so. So I didn't want to tell her because I didn't want to hear the I told you so. So I signed up for a tour at Paul Mitchell in Monroeville. And I go up to the tour, back up a little bit. My mom worked at a hair school here, and one of her employees is from Pittsburgh. Guess who was standing in the doorway when I went in there?
Going.
So she was like, what are you doing, Laura? And I'm like, don't tell my mom. I'm signing up for hair school. And then that was that. That's how I wound up being a hairdresser. Went from art to hair. Yeah.
So when did you move back from Pittsburgh down here?
Oh, it snowed.
That's all it took was one snow.
Yeah. So the diner it's not open anymore. It was, I don't even want to call it a diner. The restaurant was open from 24 hours at the time. This is before the pandemic. And I worked the 10 to 6 a.m. shift. So I would go to school from 9 to 5, and then I would come home and take a nap. And I lived with my grandparents then, and I would take a nap from about 6 to 8. And then I would go in and work my shift from 10 to 6 a.m. And it was starting to get cold at night, and my car was frozen when I went out. The time change happened. So I ended up having to work an extra hour, and I was pissed. Yeah.
That's so rude, first of all.
Yeah, they didn't account for it. They didn't, so I worked 10 to 6 a.m., but I ended up working 10 to 7 because, like, time change. And when I went out there, my car was frozen shut. And I was like, screw this. I'm done.
She's done. No more.
So I walked in and quit my job.
Good for you.
And I moved back.
As you should.
So do you want to know more about Africa?
I'd love to know more
because I totally
about
just
Africa.
sprung that on you.
Yeah.
So this is like a woven story of like art, and I love to talk about religion and spirituality and things like that. So when I got married the first time, I wanted to go back to the church because I was kind of like floating out and around, and I was raised Catholic. I was really woo. There's a lot of crossover between holidays and things like that. And I know I like to talk about that here in the salon, like the Wheel of the Year. So I kind of like to honor all of it. Like there's room at my table for everybody, right?
I love that.
And so when we moved to San Diego, I was like, I want to go to Catholic church. And so I typed in Catholic church near me, whatever. And I found a church that was 4 minutes away. And so we went. And it turned out to be a non-denominational.
Was it one of those mega churches? Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I need to know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think in that. I think this is like pre-mega church.
But like it was becoming a mega church.
And I'm not saying anything against any of that.
No.
But
we're just.
When the church burned down at one point. And I gave my first entire paycheck back to the church to like rebuild it. Yeah. Right. So I am very grateful for that time in my life, but I felt like I was missing something. And an opportunity came for a mission trip to Namibia. And I was like, I feel like I need to do that. And I trust my gut and go with it always. And so I wound up, oh, thanks. I wound up raising the money to go. And we flew from San Diego to LA, from LA to New York to Johannesburg, Johannesburg to Windhoek. This is an incredible story because it ties into something that we've already talked about in another podcast. Okay? Right. So I was there for a month, and I solely went on the purpose to teach art. We went to a place called 5 Rand, and so Rand is their dollar, like a dollar. So 5 Rand, it costs 5 Rand to buy a plot of land. So $5. Yeah. Like you could buy a plot of land for $5. So one of our dollars, American at the time, was 7 Rand.
That's wild.
So we are literally in the poor. They had no running water, no electricity, which, like, there were 6 people living in a house that was like a third of the size of this room that we're sitting in. And so we built houses. And when I say we built houses, we literally poured a slab of concrete, put some walls up, and put some like tin. Cut a hole in the roof to put a bottle of water so there would be light. Yeah. And I loved it. Because what they had happiness. Those kids didn't have shoes on their feet, but they were so happy. I mean, I know that sounds insane, but
no, it doesn't.
Watching these kids play with like a stick, like, and we have like a Nintendo and an Xbox, whatever. So like, unbelievable. So in the time that I was there, I realized that like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? And this is hard for me to talk about because like, I don't tell my story a lot, but here I am as a missionary and I'm telling you that you're living your life wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had an issue with that. And I came back and I left everything because I felt like it was wrong. I felt like I was in the wrong. Like, who am I to be so superior that I'm coming in to tell you this thing? But, yeah. So I learned more while I was, anyway, that was my
No,
Africa
that's
story.
awesome. Yeah. That's a really, really cool story, actually.
So it gets better. Not the Africa story. So this was in July of 2010 and I start the Purple Chair.
Okay.
This is totally crazy. I don't think about Africa a lot, but it had a huge impact on me. So I think it was the first day. This is back when I was in the tattoo shop, and I had a gal working with me, Rachel. I love you, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
And it was her first day, right? Okay. And so she's sweeping, and she was really nervous. And we had a new customer that day, and I was really nervous. It was this whole thing. And this lady comes in to get her hair done. She made an appointment. And prior to her making an appointment, oh, wait, hang on. Let me formulate this thought. So she comes in for her appointment, and I cut her hair, do all the things. And at the end, I was like, oh, yeah, by the way, I got the phone fixed. Because when I called her, the phone came up, do not disturb. Or do not disturb, no, do not.
Do not answer?
Do not, no. When I called her, it came up as number unknown. Unknown caller.
Yeah,
unknown
whatever, yeah.
So she answered it, but she was very like, hello? And I'm like, hey, this is Laura from the Purple Chair, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, it didn't come up, so I didn't know. I was like, okay. So at the end of her appointment, I was like, yeah, I got it fixed, so it should work now. And she goes, oh, thanks. Because my dad is the only person that would call me, and it would come up that way, and he passed away. And so I don't know anything more about that, but he was in Africa. And I was like, oh, trying to make light of the situation. And I'm like, oh, we're in Africa, because it's huge continent.
Yeah.
A lot of people think Africa is a country. It's a huge continent. Huge, massive. And what are the odds of like even being in remotely the same place? Well, I was like, well, where's he at? Namibia. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Namibia. Like, I've been to Namibia. Do you even know where that is on a map?
No.
Okay. So South Africa sits down at the bottom, and Namibia literally looks like this and sits.
Oh, it's like the little side piece.
Yeah. So it's like west, like at West Coast Africa, but at the very bottom. So we left North America in July. It was winter time when we got there. anyway, she goes, I don't know, like, the place sounded like Oklahoma. And I'm like, oh, it's called Okahonja. And I was like, it's near 5 Rand. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, hold on a second. So I pulled up my pictures, and the people that he worked with are in my pictures. He was not, so I didn't get to meet him.
But still, that is so wild.
What a huge, like, how, yes.
There are no such thing as coincidences, Laura.
Anyway, so it was a great healing moment for both of us, because, like, I was in the right place at the right time, and she had this opportunity to, like, reconnect with her dad and, like, you know, validation kinds of things. So yeah.
That's so awesome. So how did you go from being in the back of the tattoo shop to being in the back of Belladonna's?
Yes. Okay, no such thing as coincidences. Wait. What? Yes. Did you know this? Have you ever heard this?
I think I have heard bits and pieces of this story, but not the whole thing.
He got hit by a car.
What did?
The shop.
Were you in the shop?
No, we left. So we had, Rachel and I had left, like, I don't know. We were there late with a customer, and we left probably about, it couldn't have been more than 45 minutes.
That's wild.
Yes. Yeah. So the tattoo shop with 2 hairdressers was like, do you see where we are? Over with the shampoo sink in it.
Okay.
So, like, 2 hairdressers doing
tiny
hair, like, where we're sitting.
Yeah.
So when was that? I don't remember the month. Oh, January 2019.
Nice.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, so it wasn't that long ago.
No.
Okay.
So, this season, right, fall, is when I feel like I come alive.
Okay.
And so I like to redo herbs in the corners, and, like, I put down intention, right? And so, like, we were walking through and putting herbs down, wiping doors, cleaning up, picking up, rearranging. And I had a whole container left, because I usually, just a little bit goes a long way. And I was being such an asshole. And I was like, we were talking about this, I cannot believe. So I picked up a whole fistful of herbs, and I, like, baseball chucked it at the corner, and I was like, change! That's where the car. I wish I was making this up. I am not making this up. Laura. So I get home, and Rachel and I are texting each other, and and I fall asleep at the drop of a hat. There's 2 versions. I'm awake or I'm asleep. Yeah. And I was asleep. So she gets this message about, this is Officer so-and-so, like, because our number and our information was on the door. So at 7:30, I wake up to a message from Rachel that was like, hey, I think the shop got hit by a car. And I was like, oh, no. So I literally didn't even get ready for work that day. I just got in the car and drove over there at 7:30 in the morning, and there's a gaping hole in the side of the building. I felt so bad. But, like, it literally smashed the ever-loving, I mean, it was bad. End of story. Side note, the shop is back open. The tattoo shop is super successful. Like, they just shifted around, and it was fine. But, like, I was like, I gotta have a place to work.
You gotta make a change now.
So I went into Belladonna's because I often would pop in, and I've taken classes with Jen before this, and she goes, oh, sister, don't worry about it. And I'm like, ah.
Right, you can say that, Jen.
My child just got hit by a car. She goes, no, go look upstairs. And I'm like, there's stairs in here? So I go up the stairs, and there was plumbing for 2 shampoo bowls upstairs. So we literally pulled everything out of that shop and drove it down, 2 miles down the road, and just brought it inside. And then we opened 2 weeks later. Yeah, and I've been with Jen since January of 2019.
That's amazing. And now you've moved locations with her, too.
Yep.
And there's no more stairs.
There's no more stairs here.
There's no more stairs. So how did the purple chair begin in the first place? I know you kind of touched on it earlier. What made you decide you didn't want to work for somebody else?
I broke my hand. Why is everything so dramatic? My life sounds so dramatic. So I had been asking the universe for a break.
Okay.
I just need a break. I feel like I was kind of talking that way when you walked in, which is like, ding, 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 don't watch what you say. Because words are very powerful. So I kept saying, I need a break. I should have said, I need a vacation to Maui.
Right. You should have been very deliberate with what you were saying.
Specific. So I, in a fit of anger, punched something, and I broke my hand.
You got your break.
I got my break. I got 6 weeks off of work. Yeah. And so in 6 weeks, I did a lot of thinking. And I was like, oh, I need to change everything. Because that's probably why I move stuff around all the time. Because I'm happy with what I'm doing. I just got to move stuff around. So I wound up getting a job at Paul Mitchell and starting the purple chair in the same week.
Okay.
And then it all just kind of fell into place.
Nice.
I happened to be chatting with the guy that owns the tattoo shop, and I'm like, I'm looking for a place. And he's like, I have space. I'm like, okay. So that's how I wound up in the tattoo shop, because I mean, what hairdresser rents a booth at a tattoo shop? That's how I wound up being covered in tattoos.
Nice. What was it like opening your space in the back of the tattoo shop? Did you see more clients coming in? Did you have people who were like, why am I coming into this tattoo shop?
Yeah, it was, it definitely felt more of who I'm meant to be, right? Because I was, working okay. I love humans and people, but there is definitely an ideal person to hang out with for me, right?
Right.
So like
your ideal client, for lack of a better word.
So not that my ideal customer wasn't out where I was at before, but tattoo shop was more my vibe.
Right.
Yeah, again, with Ouija boards and tarot cards.
So switching gears a little bit, talking about the purple chair, you do energy work during your salon experience now. What was it like incorporating that in for the first time?
Ooh.
Or I guess you could even say, like, what made you make the decision to finally, like, actually do it? Because I know you said you thought about it for a long time.
So I started studying energy work and Reiki years before I ever even opened my mouth to tell anybody that I was doing it, because I am afraid of that kind of thing. Like, I don't know if it's like a deep-seated thing or whatever, but I'm afraid to really be who I am sometimes. And I don't know. It just was another step in like me being myself, my most authentic self. Yeah. And so it was scary because, you feel like people are going to judge you and think you're crazy. And I mean, it turns out that that's not the case. And I'm really finding my tribe. And when you're really being who you are, you find the people who are like you, and it's cool.
Exactly. Yeah. I was going to say, did you feel like you lost clients, gained clients through that? Do you feel like...
A little bit of both. I feel like the connections that I had with the customers or clients that stayed around have gotten deeper, especially when I moved in on my own.
Yep.
Because I went from working in a hair salon with... How many people were in that room? There were like 5 or 6 hairdressers, and some people worked on 2 people at once, so it's like double
12
that.
people,
yeah, it's too much. All the noise, the hustle bustle, and here it's like literally one-on-one. It's like this.
Good. So you are in the new location of Belladonna's.
Yeah, we've been here for a little over a year and a half, I think.
It's been that long here?
Yeah.
Holy cow. And your hubby is right next door.
Yes.
Doing his barbershop thing.
Yes.
Yes. And you're loving it here?
Yes. No stairs.
No stairs.
I know why like that is like the best thing ever, but like...
No, I mean, we talked about it for like months leading up to moving and after you moved. So where do you see yourself going from here? What do you think is next?
That is a big question. I don't know.
It's me coming in hot with the big questions.
I don't know, because the future is so open and expansive, and I don't know. I'm going to go where my gut tells me to go, and I'm going to follow my heart, because
that's the most important thing to do.
That's how I do it. It's how all of it has fallen together anyway.
Good. Well, thank you so much for telling me all about you today. I had so much fun being here.
Did you learn things you didn't already know?
I learned so much today. And now I have even more questions.
Yeah. That's how that goes. More questions than answers.
More money, more problems. So how can people find out more about Laura and book an appointment with you?
So you can find me on all of the social medias, Laura Labuda, but my Instagram is the .healing hairstylist.
Mm-hmm.
My website is thepurplechairsalon.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah. I hope you guys learned something new about me too, because those are some stories that I have never told out in the real world yet. So thanks for hanging with me. I was in the hot seat.
Next week, someone else is going to be in the hot seat with Laura.
Yes.
Not me.
On the next episode, I have a dear friend who works right across the hallway from me, who I'm not married to.
A different one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, thanks so much.
Yep. Thanks. Have a great day.
Bye.